Oh,
That's it. The intro's
yeah.
over.
30 seconds might be just enough time for me to hustle and get the stream key and get us up and get us live. So, all right, we are in. This is our first day for folks that are on Instagram that are used to seeing us there. Might notice a different layout. We are now on YouTube as well, and if this goes smooth, we will add Facebook, TikTok, and everything else along the way. So, you guys seeing any comments coming in on your Instagrams?
I'm gonna
Not
look.
yet. See people showing up. It's delayed on Instagram.
Okay, so I can't see because I had to create a burner account because I can't log in on mine while we're live through mine. So, but here it goes.
Oh yeah, it is delayed on Instagram.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a thing. All right. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to cover on the rundown Fresno. I'm assuming that's Fresno, California, correct?
I believe so, yes.
That's what I thought.
I was looking everywhere, but I couldn't find something that said California. I even looked on the rest of that website. But Fresno, California's attempt to get rid of blight. Car insurance for full autonomous vehicles. California is looking to, now it's not the state of California, but in California, they are looking to build a new city, which I think is wild. And then we're going to talk about an architect's take on the new reforms in San Francisco. So, how do you guys like the new studio before we get started?
I'm getting used to it.
You getting used to it? Yeah, me too. So
I wish I had my iPad in the room so I could see the Instagram. I have my phone. I should have kept my iPad with me because it would have been just like propped up, you know?
Yeah, that's what I have happening here. But again, I don't know if it's because I'm on a different account that I can't see the normal comments and people joining. So that's unfortunate, but we'll work through it. But either way, it's going to give us some good functionality for people that might be regular listeners. You know, we're going to be able to throw images up, things like that, do a little bit more. You'll see we have some logos here, and I think it should just be a better experience. It might be a little clunky today, but that's the deal. So where would you guys like to start?
Probably go right in a row.
Oh, come on, Joe. We don't really have it.
Fresno?
You always pick anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I'll go with Fresno first, but like Fresno, I think may have superseded Crested Butte as the municipality I hate most. Because I don't know how you guys felt, but they, in an attempt to get rid of blight, I'll give people a quick rundown here on this one, which is an attempt to get rid of the blight. They have put in ordinances against vacancies. So it sounded like there was one in 2003 that went into effect, but now in 2025, there's one ordinance that it says slapped owners of vacant commercial buildings, and they're talking specifically about the Tower District, a particular district in Fresno. And then within the same year, they passed an incentive. So they're like, we want to do carrot and stick, right? We're going to punish you if you don't fill your vacant building, and we'll reward you if you do. And then now they want to add a third penalty, which would add an additional real estate tax if your building is left vacant for a certain amount of time. So they're calling it they want to introduce a vacancy tax on property owners. There's a whole lot going on here, but what did you guys think?
I wish I got to go to the chicken pie shop.
Yeah, it looks like a cool building, doesn't it?
Did you see that place?
Yeah, I know. That'd be cool just to open like that. Except for you to get the guy out of the way of the door so you can get in.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. The guy sleeping out front.
So this is not a novel idea. Your cities and towns right here. This is a planner's gig as far as how to get rid of, rather than come up with, some better ideas for people to occupy these spaces. They keep the zoning as is and expect them to open up, in these locations and not pass on the cost of renovating and whatnot to, possible tenants, right? So this has happened right here. Again, I've been in towns I've worked in towns where the planners come up with the idea to start fining, the landlords if they don't fill the space. Now, other towns have come up with ideas like, to put in art galleries and whatnot in the windows, and the neighborhood children, there's the schools to put it in the windows so you're not just boarded up or covered over. Pop-up shops being allowed to open up in these spaces, which is a great idea. But I mean, look, if you have blight and you're pigeonholed into one set of zoning, and you have landlords that are writing off the costs of losses for not getting obtaining rent, what is the incentive if you're not giving them any incentive to open up, and you're not opening up the zoning, or what is the incentive? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more right now that really hasn't been an incentive. It sounds like they're talking about sticks, and they're trying to say it needs to be done by this time. You have so many months once it's vacant. You have, if it's boarded up, understandably. Now, if we're trying to address dilapidated buildings,
Yep.
fine. But I'll tell you, like, if you look at my notes on this thing, like, it's a joke, fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
like, so their incentive is the new tenant that moves in, they will give them 50% off the sales tax, the city sales tax.
Right. Yep.
For 2 years. Oh, thanks.
Right.
Like, how much you paying in sales tax? And also, why is the city collecting a sales tax? Right. And
This is the prime example of the beatings will continue until the morale improves. That's what it is.
Yeah. So,
right?
And 50%, you couldn't even give them full sales tax off. We'll give you half off. We'll give you half off the sales tax that you have to pay to us. Like, that's no incentive. I mean,
right.
But who are we kidding? Right.
But to the point that, these landlords that are just, writing it off as a loss every year and don't want to occupy it, those are the ones that are the problem, right? You have other landlords that want to occupy, but can't get tenants. And this
who would want to go there?
Right. Like, so that's the issue, right?
And, what tenant are you going to get to go there? And then, like, furthermore, is the city maintaining, like, the sidewalks? Is it clean? I mean, the first picture we saw, obviously there's homeless people everywhere, right? But is the city doing their part to make it a desirable spot?
Right.
Is it
they said no chains, right? They didn't want a chain in there because the last time they did something like this, the only people in there was a Taco Bell, right? Which is fine, but you need people to go to that area. You need people to occupy, to want to go to other businesses as well, right? Business is good for other businesses. That's what it is. You need people. So to deny, one use over another use, I get it. They don't want chains. They want mom and pop. They want neighborhood stores. But you have to have people to go to that area in order to open up other stores.
Who is going to spend, like, their life savings to go open a small business there?
Right.
Yeah. So
even if the building was, if the owners changed the building, they took this, they made it desirable. Why are you going to take that risk?
Yeah, the city is the city can't come down and say, like, hey, if we're going to punish you if you don't fill this building. It doesn't work that way, right? There's a guy in here who actually said, he goes, I don't know anybody who buys a building to leave it vacant. Like, nobody wants to leave it vacant. The problem is the area is a shithole, probably. Yeah. And that's on the city. So instead of sitting there saying, if you don't get that, like you said, the beatings will continue until morale improves. If you don't fill that empty space, we're going to punish you. They're like, well, no one wants to move here. Is that a building owner problem?
They
Right.
said it's been vacant since the Nixon administration.
It's
Like-
crazy, right? So,
And then when you're renting it, right, a lot of in some of the towns where I've been, the issue is, you know, people want to move in there, and then when they move in there, they get like a triple net lease where they're responsible for everything, right? They're responsible for repairs, replacement of the boiler, the water tank, you know, whatever it might be. So that's another problem. But yeah, you got to have people that want to go to that. You're going to need more incentive for people to want to open rather than punishment for people not to open.
yeah, and this is the classic, like, government municipal intervention that's just so backwards. There's this like assumption that like, oh, this is being a politician, this is our neighborhood and this is what we're going to do, and you need to account to us. What happened to property rights? Like this one here is the vacant commercial building pilot comes with new requirements for owners in the tower. For one, any owner of a boarded up building must make their property ready for occupancy within 4 months from when it's first boarded up. There are some exceptions for the owner to go by that 120 days. If the building has an active permit and the owner is, quote, progressing diligently towards completion. So, in other words, if you're being a good little boy and girl, we'll let you keep going. Otherwise, we're going to find you, right? And then there's also an exception for properties the city attorney's office declares aren't a new, quote, nuisance. So who gives the city attorney the power to say whether the building is a nuisance or not?
I don't know. All I know is that a lot of municipalities rely on the city attorneys for a lot that they shouldn't. They're there for legal advice. That's what they should be there for.
But it goes back to like there's some bureaucrat that's going to decide whether I'm progressing diligently or not on my own friggin' property.
Yep.
And if my building is a nuisance or not.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I mean, there's not a definition. And when it comes up, it says, and this is the gentleman that's been putting forward all these ordinances. He says, I have not seen our city attorney's office abuse that definition, she said. Oh, this is a different person then. If it gets to a point where somebody in the community feels like we are not adequately using the definition the way they see fit, you know, I'm happy to look at that. Oh, thanks.
Right.
And then on top of it, so not only are these ordinances to penalize you and increase your taxes if you don't fill your vacant space, right? Again, like if it's blighted and it's open to elements and it's a risk and whatever, fine, take some action on it. I think there's ways you can do that as a community. But then vacant property owners under this new program must add information about their space to a registry if it's vacant longer than 30 days. So if who fills the space in 30 days? So that means everybody that has a tenant turnover in that district has to put their information into a database. And again, you're going to need a friggin' app or a login and a new password. And they want you to put contact information for the owners, any agent or representative they may have, and anyone with legal interest in the property. Why is it any of their fucking business? Like if somebody has legal interest in a property,
right?
Why do I have to? Go ahead.
So again, this is the lazy approach. Rather than come up with a way to reinvent downtown or a locality or a business district, it's the punishment side, right? Why not sit down and figure out a way to entice people, right? You can't put people in buildings, and you can't, strong arm landlords, which they're trying to do, to put people in there, but you can try to reinvent these downtowns, right? And try to get people in there, change the zoning, add residential and zoning, mixed use developments as of right or whatnot to get people to go to that location. I mean, you have to look. It's happened in the city. We've seen it in different neighborhoods. It's taken a long time, for neighborhoods to start, getting a little bit, invigorated and get people to certain locations. But it can happen. But it takes leadership. It takes thinking outside the box rather than the same thing as usual. Like so far, we've heard they've talked to the city attorney. That person's involved in making sure that they're moving forward expeditiously. Talked about fines. We talked about taxes. Right? Nothing in here talked about rezoning and opening up or trying to find ways to assist the people that own buildings there. Nothing has said that.
Yeah, we've talked about communities across the country where they're stepping in and improving the process, right? And doing, adding green space, do stuff to get people to want to do there. And it's really
that's what I was trying to say. Like, what's the city doing? Like, what's
yeah.
They're just punishing people, right? And they're doing nothing on their end. So that's like lazy, right?
Right.
It's your problem, and then you're going to turn around and punish the people living there because you have a poorly run city. It's crazy. There's so much in here too. So you'll love this one. And this is why I say this, like whoever's running Fresno, they should just take all of them and throw them out because it's a friggin' joke. So they sent notices. 55 notices have been issued to vacant property owners. Of those, 23 cases were subsequently closed because code enforcement determined the property wasn't actually vacant. So half of the friggin' violations they sent out for vacant properties were for buildings that weren't even vacant. So I don't know what they're doing, right?
So I found another. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
I found another article that says there's over 550,000 people that live there, and it's bigger than Miami. So there's all those people that live there, and it's still like a rundown shithole.
Yeah, because there's probably no foot traffic because nobody wants to go to that district because it's not safe, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is the people that own the buildings. Yeah, I mean Fresno, right? Isn't there a college in Fresno?
I think so.
One of the USC Fresno or something like that. And then they did say, we are going to be this week filming a couple promo videos at different spots in the Tower District so we can better get the word out. She said, simply passing an agenda item doesn't necessarily tell folks what's going on. Well, we talk about that all the time, like communication. So they pass these things or put out a bulletin and ordinance and they don't tell anybody. I mean, you see it all the time, Reg, right? Where like you'll go to a building department or someplace and the rules change, but nobody told you, right? And you're like, well, it would have been nice that I needed to know that. I would have brought that with me if I had it. So like.
It happened to me yesterday.
Yeah. So.
As of December 18th, the fire department no longer allows certain things. And you're like, well, how did we know?
Right. Yeah.
The building was designed this way. No one told us. I don't even know where you can find the info.
Yeah. So this should be a good lesson to municipalities. Like we have to sit there and look at our own shortcomings and say, if this isn't working, no one's coming here. Why? Like the assumption that a landlord just doesn't want to fill their building and the landlord's being lazy is just stupid, frankly. Right? Think they don't want to fill their buildings? Right? Help them fill their buildings. Don't punish
I think
them.
there's a percentage again that I think that's a problem. Is there a percentage? There's a percentage that don't want to, I don't know if it was an article that you sent or an article I read the other day somewhere is, one landlord said, look, I'll take the tax write-off, to pad my taxes for my other properties for this vacant building that he had. And it was related to rent control, but also mixed use building. So, there are some landlords that don't want to take the time and put the money into renovating the building or have to deal with leases and whatnot. And those are the ones that are the problems, the one that don't, especially in an area like this where you're trying to bring it around, trying to build it up, right? Those are the landlords you need to push and get them to.
But again, why are you going to spend all that money? What is the incentive? you know,
And
and you
that's
don't, to Joe's point too, you're going to put all this money, all your investment in, and you're not getting anything back
right.
from the
Yeah.
city, the tenants, right? I mean,
Yeah, and to say you're not going to allow chains to get
like
the
if a
discount on
Starbucks wants
sales
to come
tax.
in, like why not?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what are you protecting? You've got nothing. You know, something is better than nothing. To Mike's point, let's get some foot traffic in there.
And there's a lot of people that live there.
Yeah. And like I highlighted something on with the chains not being eligible, but like get the chain in there, get some traffic. You filled up one space, then maybe you get another one, you build some momentum. But, and here's the thing, like they're not saying that chains can't move in there either. They're just saying if the chains move in, we're not going to give them the sales tax break.
Right.
So that's even.
Why wouldn't you incentivize them to come in to get a cornerstone of bringing people into the area, right?
Yeah. So again, this is just, it's poor management. One of the next ones we want to talk about, and we've talked about a lot, is San Francisco. This was just from an X post that I sent over to you guys. And it was an architect who does, and before we get into this positive, let's just try out my new little tech here and say thank you to Citywide Contracting. Actually, they sponsor the Mass Construction Show and the Mass Construction Rundown, this show and the main kind of podcast. So thanks to Citywide and all the folks that work there. I know they're listeners and they're active in the community. I know a number of things that Citywide gets behind in the greater Boston area. He was very helpful when I was even raising money for Basement Tribe and a few other things. So Citywide's really trying to build up the greater Boston construction community, and we appreciate that. They're great general contractors. They're great self-perform company, and their in-house millwork and millwork production is pretty impressive as well. I'm going to plan on going out there and I'm going to walk their shop and hopefully maybe shoot a little video so people can see what Citywide is doing. So this architect who does multifamily throughout California recently said, the secret is not out, but San Francisco, erstwhile worst offender, has become one of the easiest places to get projects entitled and permitted in California. Right? And when they asked him what changed, he said, the mayor. Right? And this goes back to Mike's point. It takes management and it takes leadership. Everyone says, oh, this can't be done. It can't be done. Yeah, it starts at the top. And he says just about everyone in the city department now understands it is their job to get permits issued quickly. Managers got the marching orders from Mayor Dan Laurie, and workflows have gotten much better. Right? And they go on to talk about how, you know, San Francisco still has the same burdens that are in California, lousy laws and policies, high transfer taxes, high inclusionary zoning, expensive bespoke code requirements, de facto prohibitions on redevelopment of any building with rent control units, but management apparently is much improved. So it can be done. You could say, oh, well, we can't because this or that or this or that. You can.
No, you can't. You could find a problem for every solution, which a lot of people like to do. And the other thing is people are like, oh, it's more complicated than. Yeah, no shit. It's all complicated when you get into government and process and whatnot, but you have to take the step forward. And I'm not talking cavalier like once upon a time they all lived happily ever after. It's just a mindset, right? You apply it to anything. You apply it to sports teams, you apply it to organizations, you apply it to cities. It's management, right? It comes down from the top down. You are out in a company, you deal with companies on a daily basis. You see how the culture is in that company, how people talk to you, how you deal with people, right? And that's based on how they're managed and how the company deals with their own people, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, again, sports teams, you see how they're coached and how people react, how kids react, or even players react. It's the same process. Part of that team for a city or municipality, if the leadership, right, and the culture is positive and you're pushing towards making progress as opposed to just the same thing every day, that comes from the top down, right? But yeah. I get it. People are nervous. Politics. You don't want to upset people. There's unions. You don't want to upset the union. This person can't do that job because their contract doesn't say that they do this. So, but it's culture. You can start from the top down, push for progress, and you'll see progress. If you just keep doing the same thing every day and putting out press releases don't get shit done. That's a fact.
Yeah, and that was actually something we read recently where they said the same thing. They're like, yeah, we can run around. And the thing is, we love to do it. But we add in, when we bring these press releases, with these press releases comes more things for contractors and developers to do, not necessarily with results. They said that in the Fresno article. At the very end, the guy says, if we can't point to a building that has been vacant for multiple years that is now not, and it's results of this program. So what he's saying, paraphrasing, is, hey, if this program goes in place in a year from now, we can say, hey, this building that was vacant is filled because of this policy, then great. If it's not, it's just another layer of stuff that business owners need to navigate. Right? So every one of these ribbon cuttings and headlines and press conferences comes with stuff for people to do. But if you don't, on the municipality side, staff it, enforce it, manage it, have some leadership on it, it's just more stuff for the people in the city or town to do, and it's going to have a negative effect. And they're never going to look back, because is anyone going to look at this in 5 years and say, this did nothing, let's get rid of it? No way.
No, it's just going to sit there.
Yeah. And he said in here, in the San Francisco comment, getting a law right is important, but if the municipal bureaucracy or the principals in charge of it don't want this goes to your point, Mike, on a lot of times. But if the municipal bureaucracy or the principals in charge of it don't want housing development, good law will only get you so far. So what he's saying is, you can pass these laws, but if people in power and in the municipal bureaucracy don't want it to happen, it's not going to happen, right? You always talk about planning reviews, Mike, right? There's a way to take these things down, even if you get the law in place, right? MBTA Communities Act, right? Passed the law, but now we're still fighting things out in court because the municipalities don't want it, right? So if the people in power don't want it, even though a law is passed, it isn't going to happen. And then this is an interesting one. So they talk about LA faces the same political constraints as San Diego, high interest rates, tariffs, California law, yet San Diego has managed to increase housing construction by 10% over the past 3 years, while LA's housing construction has dropped 33%.
That's crazy. That's a third.
So LA has dropped a third. San Diego has increased 10%. And he says LA leaders are failing its residents. And these people in Fresno, same thing.
Think that LA, when was that, for over the last 3 years? Do you think the fire has something to do with that?
No, it should be increasing it, right? Because there's
because they were trying
a built-in hundreds of permits or 1,000 permits or whatever that are trying to get issued, and they can't get issued.
LA is regulation. That's what it comes down to. Too many. That's why you don't see I think there's probably a bunch of permits that have been issued, more than when we talked about before in the fire area, but still regulation. It's difficult. The bigger the city, the more red tape, and that it shouldn't be that way. It doesn't matter if you're a town of 500 or you're a town of 50,000. The process is the same. You just follow the set of regulations to get permits issued. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So I saw this last night, and it's not on the list for today, but did you see that Trump signed an executive order to take over permitting in Los Angeles?
No.
Yes.
He did?
Yes. So My gut reaction is I'm always like a local control person. So I don't even really like the state mandates telling cities and towns what to do. But the fact that there's this many people that have lost their homes and they can't get them rebuilt because of bureaucracy. I don't think this thing's going to go anywhere. I think it'll get challenged in court and it'll lose.
Yep.
So I don't think it's gonna actually come to fruition. But if anything else, it's just putting on notice LA that cut the shit.
Mhm.
We've talked about this before, like all these ballot questions that are happening, right? It's all a matter of putting all these cities and towns in the statewide laws that are taking away their control. It's putting all these municipalities on notice that get your act together because people are fed up and they're not going to deal with it anymore. They're not. They're going to ballot questions. There's one ballot question about starter homes here in Massachusetts to be able to build, anybody be able to build on a 5,000 square foot lot if it has town water and sewer. You need 75,000 certified signatures for the first phase, and then another like 12,500 for the second phase. To get that many people to sign on, that's sending the message. And all these cities
agrees.
What's Daisy doing?
Oh yeah, she's barking away in the background. I didn't know if you can hear.
Oh yeah.
But so more of this stuff coming to a head, but I think it's good that it's coming to a head because I think change is happening. I don't know if you guys think so.
No, I think, like you just said, people are getting fed up with the process and fed up with not being able to obtain permits. It's the carrot with a wall in front of you. You can see the carrot. They're throwing you the carrot saying, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then they're throwing up all these barriers to obtaining permits, right? So it's happening everywhere and people are starting to get fed up. I am 100% behind. We talked about this before, and I'm going to say it again 100 times in every other show that we talk about permits, is we hold the applicant to such a standard as far as timelines and application requirements, but the city, the municipality, the organization who's handing out the permits is held to less a standard. In fact, many times there's no standard as far as time and requirements, for, even though it's written into the law to issue a permit. So I think that the state should get off their ass and start saying, okay, you know, when a neighbor sues a neighbor over a project, that $250,000 escrow that gets set aside that can be tapped into for a slap suit, or I think towns should be liable for this as well. If a town denies an as of right or stops an as of right project or isn't issuing a permit without, you know, a reason for issuing it, I think the town should be subject to damages for that project or for that person or for that homeowner who wants to rebuild their home. The towns should be subject to this. Oh, we're overworked. We have too many permits. Come on. There is 3 sets of eyes on most permits, for crying out loud. And don't tell me about the kitchens and the bathrooms you're all backed up with. What are you looking at? What are you looking at for the kitchens and the bathrooms? You're going to do an inspection, right? Construction control, you have another set of eyes. Still do have to do inspections, but there are so many excuses you can come up with. Get off your ass. Get this stuff done. Get some permits issued.
Yeah, I'd be fine with treble damages, right? Like, if it didn't get issued and was improperly denied, then there should be damages.
Right.
I'd be completely fine with that. Now, if it's a mistake, it should get worked out locally and get fixed. But if you have to go to court over it, like, the town should have to pay for that. Why should I have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to go to court? Yeah, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars because you enforce this thing incorrectly. Right. You should be accountable for that. I think that's perfectly reasonable. And here's the thing, it's happening, right? Like, look at that town where they were prohibiting the vineyards from, you know, having events and all that kind of stuff. The town ended up having to pay $15 million they had to pay, something like that.
Yeah.
So, good. And then look at Cambridge.
I was thinking of that.
Right?
Yeah, I got to check on that.
I know. What happened with that?
The lawsuit.
That's going to take a while.
It's going to, But
land court can be a year and a half, 2 years, unless there's some sort of summary judgment. But this is going to take a bit.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't think if you said that to me 5-10 years ago, Mike, I'd say that's never happening. But the situation we're in right now, in the attitudes of the American people, I think there's a chance. There's enough momentum there that they're going to start seeing that. We're going to start seeing that happening, right?
Right.
And maybe it's the other thing we talk about is third-party building departments, right? Where maybe that starts happening. It happened in New Hampshire, right? You can, as of right, have your plan reviewed by somebody else now in the state. So,
and that goes back to this. Yeah, I get there's a lot of work coming in some locations, but there's only so many times you can say, oh, we got too much work. We have too many projects, too much process. We have too many things to do today. There's only so much you can say that before, again, people start pushing back, and, automation and AI is coming around. No quicker way to lose your job than to say that you can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And it's not everybody. It's not every building department. It's not everybody in the building departments, but it's a culture. And it goes right back to where we started this conversation. It's from the top down, right? It's a culture of.
But it's been years of, you have to, like, people literally have to retire to change the mindset.
Right.
It's been years and years and years of like an embedded mindset of the way people think.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's going to be forced retirement. This is what's going to happen if they start losing jobs to AI, to third-party companies, right? That's gonna drive things out. And to my point, which is like, if you're in a municipality and people, and you're additive to the community, and people are like, oh, I like to go to the building department because Sally always helps with this and that, and I kind of like seeing her every year. But when it comes time to vote to get rid of Sally, they're all going to vote no, because no, we can't get rid of her. She helps with this and helps with that, and blah blah blah. And I wasn't able to, she fixed the incorrect, because you know how you get into this bureaucratic stuff at the municipalities, like, oh, there was something written in 1967 that's in the file that says it's this and it was taken away. And when you have good people, like, think of like the Jill Coxes of the world, who are able to go in there and say, this was a mistake. No, we can just administratively fix that, and that's gone. You don't need to file a new permit over that. That's crazy, right? You have those people. I'd be out on a fucking picket line if they were looking to get rid of Jill Cox and replace her with AI, right? That's a no-brainer, right?
The institutional knowledge.
Yeah, the institutional knowledge, the assistance.
That can't be replaced by AI.
Yeah, those people are additive. But if they're not being additive in the community, then they're going to be replaced by third party or AI. That's just the way it's going to be. And it used to not be that way. It was, oh, you can't fight City Hall. You just got to do it and deal with it. Well, the tide's turning, and things are going to change.
And before we move on, I know, like we've said it before, though, like sometimes ISD will receive like shitty packages, right? So drawings don't have right information. It starts the back and forth. And who's keeping up with all the code changes, all the shit that's like the energy code? It's, so it's a little bit of a balancing act.
But that's the process. So when people say, like, oh, we get, incomplete packages and we can't, but that's your job. That's part of the process is, as a plans examiner, are the documents here, right? And that goes back to all the extra documents that we throw on top of it that probably aren't necessary, but are the documents here? Chapter 1 in the building code has 7 items for the issuance of a building permit that you can deny a building permit for. Are the basics here, right? Like, you got people asking for liability insurance now. On where did that come from? Like, where does plumbing and electric? They have a section in their code, that's fine. But building code says workman's comp, right? And now you have people that have to go get liability insurance because some municipalities want liability insurance. Well, why? What is time? So there's all these extra regulations. So if somebody doesn't have a complete package, I get it, right? But what's complete? Can I do a plans examination right, on a set of drawings and get it going and say, hey, you need to give me X, Y, and Z, or you're not getting a permit, right? And then the other argument is, well, if we put this time into doing a plans examination, they don't submit that information, it's wasted time. I get it.
Well, no, I mean, then it just sits there in the queue.
But if there's pay the fee. Didn't ISD start having people pay the fees up front?
That's been going on forever.
Yeah.
Right. So the fee is there. If that person decides that they're going to abandon that permit, right? There's a clause in the code as well, 180 days on the permit application side, and that permit's null and void if the applicant doesn't take any action on it. So the city absorbs it. They put the time into it. That's that person's fault for not putting the information in. But you can get this stuff going and start reviewing without saying, oh, you know, you're missing your Maddox Higgins, right? Well, start the process, send that notification out, and then it's on the applicant to make sure that they get that in or they're not getting the permit.
Yeah. No,
there's an answer there's a process rather than just no.
Yeah. And to your point, Mike, like you can't arbitrarily determine what things you want to ask for. The code is prescriptive about what you can ask for. You can ask for that. And liability is a great thing. And I think most people would have it anyway and have to have it, right? But it's not a requirement for a permit.
Right.
Right. We ask for things, all different municipalities ask for all these different things, like Somerville with an affidavit about wage theft, right?
Like, what is that? Why?
Why is that any kind of a marker of whether you get a permit or not? There's nothing in the code that says you can ask for that. Liability, wage theft, EMR rating. None of these things are. None of these things preclude anyone from issuing a building permit. They can't, right?
Technically, conservation and none of that is related to a building permit, right? That's all historic. None of that is actually related to a building permit directly. We do it because you need to play well in the sandbox, but again, you keep putting layers onto the application process. You keep putting additional process in there. You have departments that aren't playing well together. Nobody, benefits in that. And I don't subscribe to we pay your salary, those people that come in and say that. But you're a service organization when you're issuing permit. You're providing a service. It's not about you. It's about the people pulling the goddamn permits. That's what it is.
Yeah, but it also goes back to management, like we were saying before, right? Where, and like the guy said, and that architect said, just about everybody in the city department, managers have their marching orders to get the permits issued quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think if you set the right tone, right, because some of these departments, it's just they're like people that are beaten down. Right. And that's a management problem.
Right.
Management is letting people know that, hey, we're depending on you as economic development for this city. Like, we need you to do your jobs. They all have very important jobs, right? And they can stifle an economy, or they can make an economy boom. And that should be the message to everybody working in the municipality. Like, hey, this is dependent on the success of our community. And if our community is successful, that means better wages, better services, better opportunities, better lifestyle, better places to go out to eat. Like, all this stuff is riding on all of you. And that should be the message, right? And let's do the best and let's all win. We can all succeed. This can be a win-win, right? This doesn't have to be an us-them battle, right? But that's what it is, right? You feel like you're going down to enter combat,
right?
And it just shouldn't be that way. Mike, I'm curious. So Tim O'Neill says, we have towns asking for copies of signed prime contracts with owners. I know a cost estimate is required. Do you need a signed contract per the building code?
So it's at the discretion of the AHJ. That's been contested before, and that's usually a method of determining cost of the and that's authority to conduct the work as well. So that's what that comes out of. So one, do you have the authority to do the work on this property if you're not the owner, right? So that's the contract, and then it's a way to grab the actual cost of what the project costs.
Okay.
And we talk about the project cost all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
So
you get 10 different answers.
let's hold the California city, because that's a really good one. And I think we'll talk about it for a long time, but we're over right now. But let's just drop in the insurance one real
Lemonade.
quick. We can hit it. So as you see up on the screen, Lemonade, which is like a AI heavy insurance tech startup where they do home, car, pet, they do all kinds of insurance. And they looked at the data and they're saying if you have a full self-driving car, you'll be looking at a 50% reduction in insurance cost. And the data that they got, so Tesla allowed them to look at all of their data, and they looked at that data and they're essentially cutting your insurance in half.
You know what my favorite part of this article was?
What's that?
The disclosure at the end was 3 times as long as the goddamn article.
Oh yeah, in regulated industry, it's insurance.
Yeah.
They have to. And the interesting thing is, they said the safer that full self-driving software becomes, more our prices will drop. So saying, hey, we're cutting your insurance in half, and as this continues to get safer, your insurance is going to go down. So I think it's one more step towards, these institutions losing their stranglehold. Right. I mean, you saw that I posted on Instagram that, I got hit while I was parked, right?
And where were you parked, Joe?
East Boston.
Yep. Hit and run. Nobody left a note. But like, I'm just dealing with all this like
bullshit,
right? It's still not fixed. It happened 2 weeks ago. I don't like, you're going through all this stuff. If Lemonade comes in and can make it fast and easy and cheap, it's there. It's happening. And I think it just shows that, I mean, everybody that talked about, well, are autonomous vehicles really going to be safe? Are they dangerous? And all the scare tactics about it. Nobody knows better than an insurance company.
Well, yeah.
What's safer?
Right.
It's 50% safer right now in an infant stage, right?
Right.
So that's our future.
I got to find the video and article I saw yesterday. The taxis. I don't know what city it was, but they look like little
Miami.
The 8-seaters, the autonomous taxis.
Miami has the little delivery robot service.
Yeah,
thing.
so that was actually.
Do they have the taxis too?
One of the cities has. It's like an 8-seater, 4 and 4. They face each other. It's like a tiny little bus, but it's all autonomous. And it shows up at certain locations. Just like ride share to get you throughout the city, like a little shuttle. It looked pretty cool, but. The robots, again, are all over the place. Joe, you said you saw them when you were down in Atlanta, I think. And there was a story the other day. I don't know if it was New Jersey or what, but a train, like an Amtrak. They had a video of the Amtrak smashing one of those little robots as it was going over the railroad crossing.
Yep.
So
you're going to have to update the software.
Yeah. Well, you're not updating the software in that one. I'll tell you that.
No. Elizabeth says Vegas too. And then Lemonade said this is rolling out on January 26th in Arizona and Oregon a month later. So it's coming. We're seeing it. It's here, and maybe it gets to. And again, here's the bureaucracy kind of thing. Maybe it helps to, like, when we're trying to deal with having more people on public transportation.
Yeah,
these little. I mean, think about if the MBTA just switched to these things.
Right.
What would that be like?
Right.
I'd be on board with public transportation.
Yeah.
I'd love to get rid of my car if I could have a little 4-seater and I can spin around and do my work.
How are you going to do that in New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Easy. If it's available, I'm doing it.
Right. Right.
And it happens. Like, I don't know how, but like, you look at Amazon, like, they're making it happen in rural areas. So I think it can work. All right, so this one was a little clunky, but I think we're going to get better at using StreamYard, so we'll see how it goes. But what do you guys think about the first run with this?
Yeah, it was
I
good.
don't think it was that clunky.
I looked at both YouTube and I looked at Instagram as we were going just to see, how it shows up.
Yeah, so I would be curious. People, give us your feedback. We didn't get to use as much functionality on this one because there wasn't as many like charts and pictures and stuff to show, but I think we'll get our groove.
Yep.
Joe, your internet went like, for me, you froze up a little bit. Mike, did that happen for?
I was watching Instagram and Reggie, you were like 50% of the time you were frozen.
Yeah, you were frozen a lot during this.
I wonder if it's me.
It had some good takes too on there. When you go look at the video again,
Bullshit.
there's a few good ones with you closing your eyes and smiling.
I was just asleep.
Yeah.
Long blinks. Blinks.
I think it might have been on your end, Reg, because you were frozen on this one.
Don't blame New Hampshire, Reggie. Don't do that.
No, it's all this snow and the city environment that I live in.
That's right.
What it is.
Yeah, you were wishing you had a little more space last week, weren't you, Reg?
Oh, I do. I'm done. I'm just not going to New Hampshire because there's more snow there.
Yeah, I got plenty of places to put it.
I know.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Very good. We'll see you.
Yeah, thanks, Caden. Bye. Oh, hey, guys, stay on for processing.